GearNetwork.com.
The following is a presentation of the Gear Radio Network.
Coming to you live from the Gear Network studios in Rochester, New York. This is the JC Money Show with your host, John Cimino, aka JC Money. And now,
And hello, everybody. Welcome to this edition of the JC Money Show here on the Gear Radio Network. The video cast, the podcast. Doing them both this time for the commentary this week. Hello, everyone. My name is John Cimino at I am JC Money on Twitter. And you can support this podcast and every podcast on this network just by, if you're on the audio feed, just listen to the whole thing through. That's it, start to finish, including the commercials. Let those commercials play out. That helps us in a tremendous way. And of course, if you are not on the audio feed and you're supporting us via the video cast, if I can talk here, hit us up, gearnetwork.com/donate. It's a direct PayPal site, and you are able to do it. And I can see my reflection on my phone here. And the reason why I have the phone here is because the lines are wide open, so to speak. But not for you, because can't do that. We're not doing this live. But as I am doing it live, in case if I get a spam caller, we're going to take it ad hoc, in real time, as of recording here. But on today's show, on today's commentary, I am going to talk to you about the New York Jets. Yes, the now 1-13 New York Jets. And everybody knows that I am a Jets fan at the core. Yes, I know. My side chick team is the Buffalo Bills, and they're in the same division. I co-host Trust the Podcast with Ryan Wolf, and arguably know more about the Bills now than I ever have. I would say that my knowledge on the Bills right now is equivalent to my knowledge on the Jets, which is kind of crazy to think about, considering a mere 10 years ago, I was, younger and thinking more along the lines of, this is my team, the Jets, yeah, boo the Bills, same division, blah, 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 whatever. Now, I don't care about any of that nonsense like some sports fans still do. But in case you've been living under a rock, the Jets up until yesterday were winless, the only winless team in the National Football League. Then they played the Los Angeles Rams at SoFi Stadium, which incidentally, I'd love to see that stadium with a full crowd. And hopefully we can next year. Same thing with Vegas. I like Allegiant Stadium too. But they after being blown out by the Seattle Seahawks the week before, the Jets stayed on the West Coast, traveled to LA to play the Rams. And they won. Now, the narrative all season has been that the Jets are now are tanking or were tanking in order to get the number 1 overall pick so they could draft top prospect Clemson quarterback Trevor Lawrence, whom in all likelihood will not be a New York Jet. Now, that said, my commentary this week about the New York Jets that I took to TJCMS because I couldn't wait for listen-in with this, but I'm sure I will touch up a little more on this or reset some things while on listen-in when we record this week. But the New York Jets, they have a lot of other problems, and I think the media, the ESPN and Fox Sports of the world, and Twitter, sports Twitter, Jets Twitter, everything has made this about Sam Darnold and has made this about the Jets being needing a new quarterback, which I think is preposterous. And I will explain. 2 seasons ago, including this one, so really before the beginning of last season, Todd Bowles, the current defensive coordinator of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, was fired after 4 seasons as the New York Jets head coach. They replaced him, not with Mike McCarthy, who now coaches for Dallas, that wanted the job, not with Eric Bieniemy, not with Cliff Kingsbury, who now coaches for the Arizona Cardinals, but with Adam Gase. Adam Gase, the former head coach of the Miami Dolphins, ended up coming to New York because he's a quarterback whisperer, quarterback guru, helped Peyton Manning have a real good year one year, even though Peyton Manning is Peyton Manning. or at least was. But he came, and the idea was to have an offensive-minded head coach to help develop Sam Darnold. What has happened since then has been anything but that. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that, but I want to go ahead and talk a little bit about what is in store for the New York Jets now. With that win yesterday, and based on the strength of schedule, the Jacksonville Jaguars, whom also are 1-13, now have the number 1 overall pick. They're also kind of in a search for a quarterback too. So if the season were to end today, which is something that I hate saying over and over again, but if the season ended today, the Jacksonville Jaguars would be first on the clock, and you can bet your ass they would be drafting Trevor Lawrence. But all season, it has been about whether or not Trevor Lawrence should be a New York Jet if he is available when the Jets are on the clock to pick. So much so that there has been a story since probably week 3 or 4 of this season that the quarterback should pull a Eli Manning or a John Elway and demand to not play for the New York Jets. If they draft, they will not play or go back to school or something like that. And again, it's one of those things where you have to understand, as a football team, when you look at the coaches, you look at the players, you look at all of that structure, everybody's there to win. Nobody is there to deliberately tank. I know it's the sexy and fun thing to say, and it's something that people cling to. They're deliberately tanking. Remember, Miami last year was tanking for Tua, right? Then they ended up winning 4 or 5 games and ended up getting Tua anyways. And look at them now. They're probably going to be a 10 or 11 win team and in the playoffs. Okay, just a few years ago, we were very, very high on Sam Darnold. And Sam Darnold has shown that he has talent there. There is talent with Sam Darnold. The problem with the Jets has never been about Sam Darnold. I'll get to that a little later on as well. But to go back to the point about the tank, the players play to win games. They don't play for you or me. They don't play for the armchair GMs or the podcasters that like to test out a number of different equipment or the people on Twitter. They're not there for that. And Adam Gase. Adam Gase knows, he hears, he's in the biggest market in the National Football League. He hears the New York media. He reads the things. You have to know Adam Gase knows he's a lame duck coach at this point. They won't bring him back. They can't. They can't now. The fans are so soured on him that it wouldn't make sense to bring him back, because if you're trying to sell tickets to the season games next year, when inevitably stadiums will start to allow, more and more stadiums will start to allow fans in there. Certainly New York and New Jersey will start to allow fans into the stadiums, I would imagine, by this time next year. You're trying to sell tickets. You're trying to recoup from a season of lost revenue from ticket sales, from merchandise, from food, from drinks, from parking, from everything. You can bet they're trying to figure that out. But why? What I don't understand is why Jets fans on Twitter and on social media, all around, are doing things like replying to Jets players for winning a football game. Yeah, Jets players are happy. They're posting they won. And you've got these fans, these armchair quarterbacks, these Engage 8 defensive running on Madden NFL wannabe players or wannabe analysts or just fans that think they know the game better than anybody that's involved currently in the game is. You have them replying directly to players, like slamming them for winning the game. And Mekhi Becton, the big ticket, one of arguably the largest men I have on that team, the largest guy on that team, But, like, I can't wait to go to a Jets game and in person see this guy and just see how large he really is in real life. That guy is huge, and he's a man amongst kids there. It doesn't matter. But he said it best. When he was asked, what do you say to the Jets fans that are angry that you guys won the game against the Rams? His reply was, I'd tell them they're not really Jets fans. Bingo. That's the perfect answer. That's the answer from a guy who wants to be there. That's the answer from the guy that enjoys the game, and that's the answer from a guy who was as happy as a pig in shit that his team did not go winless in his first year in the league. Okay. That said, yes, the idea of somebody, the magnitude of Trevor Lawrence, with his presence, his awareness, his accuracy, his speed, his quarterback grade coming around once every decade. Yeah, that sounded kind of nice. That sounded kind of nice to have. It was a nice have, but not a necessity. It's not like we were throwing out, a practice squad wide receiver and starting him at quarterback. The jokes are there. The jokes were there, sure. Everybody joked on the Jets. Everybody ragged on the Jets. And I get that. But to chastise anybody on that organization for trying to win a game, I think it's selfish. I think it's stupid. And I echo his sentiments. Now, I can't lie and say I didn't get caught up as a Jets fan in the entire first round or first overall pick and possibility of Trevor Lawrence coming there, and with the first overall pick and a generational quarterback like Trevor Lawrence available to be drafted, a head coaching vacancy, that looks like a sweet job. That looks like a sweet get. And now number 2 kind of doesn't seem that way, but you still have Sam Darnold. And I don't understand why he has fallen out of favor with Jets fans when the Jets have absolutely done nothing to support this guy. Keep in mind, Sam Darnold is still very young. He's only 23 years old. That's younger than Lamar Jackson by a few weeks, I believe. That's younger than Josh Allen by a year, and that's younger than Baker Mayfield by 2. He's 23 years old. He's had poor coaching from top to bottom. His first year in the NFL, his head coach was Todd Bowles. Todd Bowles was gone. He had to learn an entire new system with a coach that failed in Miami and failed in East Rutherford. Give the kid a break. He's had nothing to work with. He's had no offensive line. He had Le'Veon Bell. And the Jets obviously didn't know what to do with Le'Veon Bell, which is ridiculous because Le'Veon Bell, I believe, when positioned correctly, is still a very effective running back. And he's going to be an effective running back for the Chiefs for the next few weeks while Edwards-Helaire is out with a high ankle sprain. On a first-place team that is staring a Super Bowl in the face again. Oh, by the way, they won the Super Bowl last year, too, by the way. So there was that. But do you really think that a lame duck coach like Adam Gase, who at this point is 8-22 in 2 years, with an organization that should not have hired him to begin with, do you think he cares about the tank? Do you think he cares about losing every single game in order to help the team that's going to inevitably let him go on Black Monday? Get a quarterback of the future that he can't develop and win games while he sits on the sideline and watch? No. Adam Gase, to his credit, is going to go out there and try and win games every week. Do you know why? Because his football career, his football life is on the line with every game. He may never see another head coaching job again. But if he could string a couple of wins, maybe at some point he can get a coordinator job. Or a tight ends coach job or something. A job within football, whether in the collegiate or the pro ranks. Maybe he could be the New York Guardians head coach of the XFL in 2022. You know, he could string a couple of wins together. You never know. Stranger things have happened. But do you think that he really cared one bit about assisting the Jets in going 0-16 if he wasn't secure about his job? Like if he was told, seriously, lose, do the best to lose every game. You'll still have a job next year because we trust you to develop Trevor Lawrence, but lose there to make sure we get Trevor Lawrence. First of all, do you think that conversation ever happened? No. Secondly, do you think that a guy who had Ryan Tannehill in Miami and then let him go, and Tannehill signs with the Titans and becomes comeback player of the year, an award that is usually reserved for somebody coming back from some kind of adversity, whether it was an injury or something else. And Ryan Tannehill wins comeback player of the year, not because he was injured, but because he was benched in Miami, poorly coached under Adam Gase, won the job in Tennessee, and took them to the conference championship. His comeback of the year player award was he was coming back from Adam Gase. Do you want that guy deliberately tanking games? Because I don't, and I will tell you this. If he were deliberately tanking games, that would have told me that they were going to do the Cleveland Browns Hugh Jackson model, which was keep him for the entire offseason and then offload him after 2 or 3 games into the next season, like the Browns did. You know, for all that we talk about with the New York Jets having inept ownership, and they do, the Johnson family are not good owners for the for the Jets at all. They're not good owners. But the Browns have worse ownership. The Browns' ownership is not good. What makes the Browns different now versus 3 years ago versus the Jets now is that the Browns' ownership actually hired competent football people. It took a little bit. They had to go Hugh Jackson to Freddie Kitchens to whoever the hell they have now. I don't know. And their GM is pretty good, and they're winning. They're winning by building. They won, if I can talk here, by building around their young quarterback, by building around Baker Mayfield, by signing Jarvis Landry, by trading for Odell Beckham Jr., by picking up pieces here and there. They've got a good team. Clearly, because they're going to end their drought, and then the Jets will be the team with the longest playoff drought. So, do you think that Adam Gase really gives a shit about deliberately tanking for a team that is going to let him go? No. He's fighting to save his football career. As for Sam Darnold, that dude, he's got talent, and he's shown that he's got talent. You surround that man with weapons, you build a good offensive line around him, and I promise you, he's going to show up. He knows what to do. He's smart. He just hasn't been developed because he's had ignoramuses in the positions that he needs to develop as fast as maybe Josh Allen has, or as fast as Baker Mayfield has, or as lightning fast as Lamar Jackson had. What is the difference with those three? Coaching. The structure. In the Bills' case, the process. Sam Darnold has not had that process. Sam Darnold has not had that sustained, continual success. So what do the Jets do from here? What do they do? Where do they go with the coaching? With the coaching search? Do they hire some sexy college coach to spruce things up a little bit? Do they try to throw big money at Eric Bieniemy, Kansas City offensive coordinator? Do they do that? I hope so. But again, Sam Darnold, and I've said this all season, has never been the problem. Adam Gase was. Adam Gase, from the minute he stepped in, was the problem with the New York Jets. It wasn't Darnold. There's a reason why big-name players, both in Miami and in New York, did not want to play for Adam Gase. Jay Ajayi, remember him? Remember how good of a running back he was in Miami? What happened? He and Gase had a disagreement, shipped him off. Jamal Adams, same thing. Le'Veon Bell, couldn't get on the same page with him. Rumors from the minute that Adam Gase stepped foot into Florham Park there, from the minute he stepped in there, it was, does he want Le'Veon Bell? The personality clash, all that stuff. From the get-go, that's your problem. It's not Sam Darnold. Begrudgingly, it's not even really the Johnsons at this point, the Johnson family. I mean, they've made dumb hires, but I think they got a good one with Joe Douglas as a GM, who's built up enough draft capital to make the Jets worth watching, I think, in a couple of years, hopefully. He had a good first draft last year. But, again, coming from a Jets fan, I'm telling you I understand why they won that game. The players play to win. The players don't want to be a part of a losing season, of an 0-16 season. They don't want to do that. They want to win. For the Jets players that aren't coming back and know they aren't coming back, yesterday was a statement. It was a statement to beef up the resume because they're going to want to continue their football work elsewhere. For the Jets that are coming back, they just want to win a game. They don't want to be losers. They don't want to not win a game. And it's very, very difficult to do that. It's very, very difficult to not only go undefeated, but go winless. Very difficult to do that in pros. So, Jets fans, relax. Real Jets fans, relax. If we don't get Trevor Lawrence, we don't get Trevor Lawrence. But we have enough draft capital, and we're going to have enough monetary capital after this season to build around Darnold. And then if that doesn't work with a new head coach and a new offensive line and weapons, if that doesn't work, then you can blame Darnold. Then you can start looking towards a new quarterback. But I think that the rap that Sam Darnold got and you know, the Jets fans' impatience with him was so terrible. This is why the Jets never have nice things. Sam Darnold was never the problem. Adam Gase was the problem. Sam Darnold didn't do the Jets wrong. The Jets did Sam Darnold wrong. That's my commentary for this edition of the JC Money Show. I want to thank you all for tuning in, for watching, for listening, whatever you're doing. Again, gearnetwork.com/donate if you feel compelled to. Our PayPal information is on there. You can donate to us in any denomination. It would be wonderful. And, of course, if you're just listening on the audio and the podcast feed, just stick it out, hear those commercials. That helps us out greatly. So, again, thanks again for tuning in. Listen in. We are going to be recording this week. We'll be releasing it for Christmas. If I do not take the mic on the JC Money Show feed, everybody have a very safe and wonderful Christmas this year. 2020 sucks, but hopefully Christmas will be the cherry on the top of an endless year that will end in about another week and a half. So thanks again for tuning in. So long, everybody. Good night now. Flava Flav, give a yeah, boy, for Christmas. Yeah, boy. Hang on, one more thing before you go. Remember, listen to our sponsors following this podcast, as that does help this podcast and this network out in a way that we appreciate very, very much. So if you could just ride it out 30 to 60 more seconds after this podcast is over, listen to those commercials, it would be doing us a very, very big solid. And again, we thank you.
This has been a presentation of the Gear Radio Network. For more, log on to gearnetwork.com.